The rice bag that valued a kingdom. Once upon a time, in a prosperous kingdom, there lived a wise and honest man named Adrian. He served the kingdom as the royal assessor under King Alaric. Adrian's duty was simple but deeply important. He assessed the value of the king's assets: the elephants in the royal stables, the horses brought by traders, the gold, the land, and the goods used in royal trade. Adrian worked with integrity. He never exaggerated, never cheated, and never bent the truth. Every value he gave was fair and honest, helping the king conduct business sustainably and achieve long-term prosperity. Because of Adrian's honesty, trade flourished. Merchants trusted the palace, and the kingdom earned respect far beyond its borders. However, honesty does not always please those driven by greed. One day, King Alaric began to worry. He thought to himself, "This assessor, Adrian, is too fair. If everything is valued honestly, how will my treasury grow faster? What if one day my wealth stops increasing?" Slowly, greed clouded the king's judgment. He began to believe that fairness was a weakness. While lost in these thoughts, the king noticed a man walking across the palace yard. The king summoned him and asked his name. "My name is Dorian, your majesty," the man replied. The king looked at him briefly and said, "I will give you a good job. Can you be a royal assessor?" Dorian hesitated for a moment, then confidently agreed. Without testing his knowledge or judging his wisdom, the king removed Adrian from his position. From the very next day, Dorian became the royal assessor. But Dorian was not wise. He was not trained and did not understand the true meaning of value. He assessed things based on guesses, moods, and pride. Whatever he declared became the final value, and slowly, almost unnoticed, the kingdom began to change. One day, a horse trader arrived from the northern lands with 500 strong and healthy horses, animals fit for war, transport, and royal prestige. The king summoned Dorian and ordered him to assess the value of the horses. Dorian walked around them proudly, barely observing and hardly thinking. He then announced that all 500 horses were worth only 1 bag of rice. The trader was shocked and heartbroken. Yet the king accepted the assessment without question. With no other choice, the trader accepted 1 rice bag for 500 horses and left the palace in deep sorrow. On his way back, the trader met Adrian, the former royal assessor. Seeing the sadness on the trader's face, Adrian asked what had happened. After hearing the story, Adrian smiled calmly and said, "Do not panic. That man is not an intelligent assessor. Do this instead. Go and give him a gift. Win his favor and then ask him to answer one simple question. If 500 horses are worth 1 rice bag, then how much is 1 rice bag worth?" The trader followed Adrian's advice. He gave gifts to Dorian, softened his pride, and made him agreeable. Dorian accepted the request to answer the question. The next day, the king, ministers, and nobles gathered in the royal court. The horse trader stepped forward and bowed respectfully. He said, "Your Majesty, you gave me 1 rice bag for 500 horses, so tell me, how much is 1 rice bag worth?" The king turned to Dorian and asked him to answer. Dorian stood confidently and declared, "This rice bag is not a small thing. It is worth this entire kingdom, the inner city, the outer city, and everything within it." For a brief moment, the court was silent. Then laughter filled the hall. The ministers laughed, the nobles laughed, and even the guards struggled to remain serious. One minister finally stood and said, We have heard the ancients say that the value of a king and a kingdom cannot be measured, but today this assessor has measured it and valued it as one rice bag. King Alaric's face turned red with shame. At that moment, he understood his mistake. His greed had humiliated him, and his poor judgment had embarrassed the throne. Without delay, the king removed Dorian from his position and reinstated Adrian as the royal assessor. Fairness returned to the kingdom. Trust was restored, and trade once again flourished. The king learned a painful but lasting lesson. Greed blinds wisdom. Placing the wrong person in the wrong position destroys dignity, systems, and respect. Every position deserves the right person.